Yeah. Hello.
Got the
welcome.
appetizers.
Oh shit.
Isn't that starter? Anyway, hello everyone. Welcome back to our Pathfinder Second Edition campaign.
Woo.
Session 27. Yeah. Wow. So if everyone is ready to go and has drinks and all that jazz, we'll begin, shall we?
Hell yeah.
Right. Okay. So you might need some reminders of what happened last session. The party were passing through the city of Heresdan, and the city that starved. This abandoned sort of rogue, sort of scavenged area. There was once a grand city ruled by an elven high lord who was overthrown by his people. In retaliation, all the other elven high lords in the area teamed up and barricaded the citizens in there and just left them to starve, basically, to death. And the city tore itself apart. As you were traveling through, you decided to travel through the sewers, which had you fighting like a sort of jelly, like a black pudding, I think it was called, in the sewers, as well as some of these like strange sucking creatures that looked almost like stingrays, called cloakers, who were trying to wrap you in themselves, and then I guess drink your blood to death. But you managed to pass through, and as you came out of the sewers, you were stopped by Thranduilon, who was actually the person responsible for ratting the party out, led by Cadell. And he had taken Leonel hostage. Leonel, having clearly gotten lost from the group or run off from the group, ran into his possession, and with Thranduilon was also a shade wielder, who began to aggressively start on you guys. Cadell told you all to run, and you ran, making your way out of the city of Heresdan, as Cadell sort of bravely stayed behind. Who knows what happened with him? But as Cyan looked back, Cyan seemed to notice that Cadell had transformed, not into the elf that you all know, but some sort of humanoid tiger creature with backwards hands. Yeah, strange. Anyway, so having left the city of Heresdan, you made your way into the Blackwitch Uplands. This sort of area is mostly, the terrain is mostly rocky, hilly. Plenty of little caves and places to hide in. You're not quite sure whether you're still being followed by these Ignis soldiers that you met on the outskirts of Heresdan. But that you know that there's clearly an army on the move, whatever the plan is. And now that you're separated from Cadell, the shoe is on your foot as to what's to do next. So let's say you started on the 72nd day of spring. You've just slept in the open in Hanera's cozy cottage, or what it was called.
Cozy cabin.
Cozy cabin, that's it. The morning of the 72nd day of spring is rainy. It's a bit muddy. The tops of the hills up here, you can see the river in the distance flowing, with the city of Heresdan just behind it. Well, on it, I suppose. It's probably about a day and a half's travel to Nerion, the nearest city that you know that you might be able to get some shelter at. But otherwise, you may have to decide what to do, what you want to do. So you all awaken and meet. Cyan's, I guess, feeling quite quiet today.
Yeah, very unlike him.
Just thoughtful about what he had seen with Cadell, I guess.
And we're on top of the. Was it a mushroom? I'm not wrong, am I? Is it a mushroom?
Mushroom.
I think there was a big boulder.
There was a big boulder.
I think we put the cabin just like behind it.
Yeah.
Right.
You camped right by a large boulder that seems to protrude out of the side of the hill,
Yeah, that's right. We were talking about.
giving you a nice bit of shelter from the elements here.
Hmm. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Ascus has really much to say at the moment. So.
Did we get a long rest?
You have had a long rest.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you have had a night's rest.
Right.
You also all leveled up, right?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right.
We did.
What are we doing then? I know
And
Narion's kind of close. Well, ish. Closest place we can get to. But, I mean, what's the plan once we get there, right?
Good question. From what I understood, we were going to wait and see what the city held for us before we made any decisions. Perhaps there would be people who would be able to provide us refuge or safe travel. That was my understanding, at least.
I mean, at very, very least, we can wait a few days there. See if Cadell shows up.
I do fear it might be incumbent upon us to make the majority of headway towards our destination.
Just kind of wonder, you know, what if he doesn't show? Then what?
I think we have enough. What is the word? We have enough behind us to go to Lenora without him and still do what we need to.
Yeah, it's just, Siam was mentioning before. He's a bit concerned about the Padron. If he's got Ignis in his ear, and we show up without someone he trusts,
Well remembered.
we ain't gonna have much sway.
Oh.
Hank, shut up.
That's a very small bark for Hank.
What
That's
do,
his sleepy box.
Well, what do you think, Henning, Nera?
I think we should go to Nerion and sort of compile,
I would agree.
collect ourselves.
I would
And
agree.
just-
Sign. Going to the Emerald City without Cadell would look mightily suspicious on our part. So I think it's best that we wait for him. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Especially if Cadell's dead. It will look like we killed him on the way.
And that.
Well, it sounds like it is decided then, I hope that it is not too obvious we are going to Nerion. We should probably be careful.
And have you been Narian before?
No.
Unless Cyan has, I'm afraid probably the answer is no.
Just wondering how big it is, if we're likely to,
Yeah, Hanira, make a society check.
I'm an expert in society checks now. Oh yeah, 33.
Oh damn. Okay. So you know quite a bit about Nerion. It's obviously it's ruled by a house that's loyal to House Rexis. So it's not ruled by House Rexis. It's ruled by House Kian, which is Kian. You know that House Kian is one of the oldest houses in Adenir. They're very prideful. They're bound by an extreme sense of honor. Their High Lord, Errol Kian, that's E-R-O-L. Errol Kian is a seasoned warrior, and he hates both House Ignis and House Caden with a passion.
Which
He's
house
also-
is that?
sorry, Ignis and...
Caden.
Okay.
He's also a long relative, sort of like maybe a second cousin of your mother's. So he is technically family.
So it's my third cousin.
Or is it second cousin once removed or something?
Oh, maybe.
I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'm sure it's different for elves anyway, so we'll say third cousin.
Do elves is like familial bond at that distance fairly important?
Family is important, definitely. The closer you are to someone by blood in Elven society, the sort of worse it is to do anything bad against them. Which is also like Thranduilon has really done a bad thing here by betraying his second cousin. Because when he said, yeah, that's another thing he explained, wasn't it? That he wanted to get the control over Elanrian for himself, so he's teamed up with Ignis to do it.
If you live in like a small town, isn't basically everyone like your second or third cousin?
Yeah, but Elven cities and Elven high society isn't small. It's quite large.
That'd be more of a Rodran thing.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. So that being said, you begin to pack up your things, I presume, for the journey ahead, back over the upland. You notice as you begin to travel, it doesn't take you long to start to descend in altitude a little bit. And you begin to go towards some sort of flats, and the weather actually starts to clear up a little bit as well. It stops being so cloudy, and eventually you end up. Finding yourselves in a sort of more like a grasslands, like a dry grassland type terrain, quite flat. Little outbreaks of like wooded areas and things like that, but mostly it's just like a grassland, very sandy perhaps. I think this area is beginning to become, I don't know. The weather seems nicer here, and it's almost in the course of a day gone from quite rainy on the top of the hills to actually quite a sunny area. Whether that's magical or just the temperate sort of atmosphere, I don't know. That being said, as you begin to make your way, so are you taking the roads or are you taking the slower route?
I think we were going cross country because we figured it was similar time wise.
Yeah, it is similar time wise. It's just potentially more risky though.
Yeah, I think we figured the risk of the countryside is probably less than the risk of Ignis soldiers.
All right, can someone roll me a d20, please?
Sure. No modifiers, no?
No modifiers, just a d20. Just for travelling across this section of the land.
Nat 20.
Ooh, that's either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so after you are travelling across here, you notice that the terrain is lumpy, but it's mostly flat. Luckily for you, you haven't brought any carts or anything with wheels with you. Everything you're carrying is, carried by yourselves. So you managed to make your way over the worst of the terrain. There's some like sort of marshy, muddy bits, and then there's some sort of bits that begin to dry out. And eventually, yeah, the terrain is really nice. After about an hour of walking through this grassland area, you see in the distance what seems to be a cart with a couple of horses pulling it in the distance, sort of trapped, sort of half sunk into like a sort of muddy or sand. It's almost like quicksand, like a quicksandy sort of puddle. Clearly, a cart has cut across this area and is starting to sink into the sandy grass. You see a few elves trying to pull out the cart. They seem quite wealthy, but they also seem obviously well out, exposed out of nowhere.
Do they appear to be? Do we see any signifiers of like what house they might belong to?
Make a perception check.
Okay, I'm not great at these.
Can I do the aid action? I feel
Sure. Yeah, that'd be a perception check as well then.
Yeah.
You need to be at DC of 20, I think.
Can you critically fail the aid and give them -2?
Yeah.
I think so.
Because that happened in my game, but I didn't know the rules.
24.
24. Okay, so that brings Calcifer's to 25 then.
Pretty good.
You can see in the distance that they don't seem to be necessarily like in any military regalia. They're mostly wearing what seems to be fairly wealthy elven citizenry kind of clothes, wearing plenty of jewelry. There's like a woman elf as part, like trying to push the cart as well as part of the group. She seems to be wearing a lot of jewelry, perhaps like all the jewelry she potentially owns in the world. Can't quite make out what house they might be from.
What do you reckon?
But as you sort of like begin to, you've noticed them before they've noticed you. Like you can sort of begin to approach them without them noticing you, or you could decide to go around them or whatever. It's your choice.
Hey, they might pay us if we get their cart out.
I was thinking a similar thing. We looks between us all. We have enough muscle to help, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm so strong.
Worst case scenario, help some people out. Well, I mean, worst case scenario, they're Ignis spies and we get ourselves trapped. But that seems unlikely.
Next case, it'll be fine. I am sure. What's the worst that could happen? Wink.
All right, let's go. I'll bring. If Hank wasn't already out, then I'll have him out as well to help out.
All right. As you begin to sort of descend down the hill to where they are, they definitely see you, and you notice that there's only there's only two elves. It seems there seems to be maybe like an adult male elf who is current and then berating what seems to be his wife, saying, "I knew you'd get us stuck here," in Elven as you approach. As they see you descend down the hill, he raises his arms and says, "We're not armed. Please have mercy."
Just sort of like before we get too close, just sort of like raise my arms and like sort of give a friendly wave. Just try and sort of disarm them a bit.
Can we kind of
make a diplomacy check?
Oh, sorry.
Make a diplomacy check, Elsa.
20.
He waves with his mace in hand.
I mean, you are quite a sight coming down a hill. He doesn't seem to be so scared that he's actively running off right now. But he's speaking Elvish towards you all. It's unclear whether he speaks Common.
I respond in Elvish. We can help you with your cart if you like. We're not a threat. Why are you out here with your cart, not on the roads?
We've come from Anuna. We tried to stay clear of the roads. They were too filled with refugees.
Refugees? From where?
The city of Anuna. It was invaded. We only got out with our lives and what we had to hand. The entire road, all the way up the Black Witch, it's crowded. It's packed. People leaving the city.
Are you translating this now?
Haven't yet. I will at the end. What? Who invaded Anuna?
House Ignis soldiers. Someone betrayed the High Lord. They let the soldiers in through the night. We didn't realize until an hour in there were the fires and soldiers in the streets. We loaded up our cart and left as soon as we could. But when we reached the road, there was already people in there. As time, bandits and things caused us to come off the road.
I explained.
Now we're stuck here.
Can you ask them where they are heading to? I assume Nerian, but how do all these refugees make it into there? Is there room?
Where are you headed to?
We were headed to Nerian. My wife's cousin lives there. Thought he could help. But please, we lost all our servants. We've lost all our guards. We have nothing. A group of bandits took most of our belongings before, but we managed to just about get away from them.
Can I do like a sense motive check? Because you said that she has loads of like jewelry on. And,
She does, yeah.
My assumption is the bandits would have taken that.
Yeah, make a sense motive check.
Diplomacy. Was it diplomacy or deception? Diplomacy. Oh well. Not 20.
Like he sort of opens the door to the cart, and you see that the cart is mostly empty. Like there was like a whole bunch of stuff that he had piled in there. There was a chance that the bandits let them go with a few things, just so that they wouldn't completely fuck their life up.
Mm.
They're, kind of dickheads, but not completely heartless.
Yeah.
Well, perhaps you can suggest we offer our services, or
Could maybe could even take them all the way. Make sure no one gives them any trouble.
Oh, I feel bad charging them though. Seeing as
I do.
Well, you're not the one that can speak Elvish, are you?
I mean, they're obviously pretty wealthy, right?
They must have loads of money on them.
They can spare a bit.
if not, their cousin could certainly provide it.
Okay. I say, could you spare a bit of money for us? We're refugees as well.
He says, make a diplomacy check for me.
Make a diplomacy check.
Deception, isn't it?
25.
25. He says, listen, how about this? If you can guide us to Nerian safely, we will... I will speak highly of you to my cousin. He will be able to give you... Well, I mean... Let's say 100 gold pieces?
Yeah, okay. That sounds good. We'll help you. I'll relay this to the group.
Maybe you could ask for a 50% advance, you know.
I don't think he has any money.
He speaks to his wife, and his wife looks a bit like distraught, but eventually he turns back to you and says, "Fantastic, thank you. Please, if you wouldn't mind helping us get this cart out of the grass, then we'll be on our way."
Yeah, we help.
Yeah,
Make
Yeah, I'll help.
yeah, assuming.
Cascas, make a perception check for me,
Okay.
just to sort of like assess what's going on with the cart.
23.
And now make an intelligence check, I guess. Yeah.
Can I do, could I do devise a stratagem? Because we're devising a
Yeah, sure,
strategy.
sure.
It's plus. Hold on, let me check what the plus is to it. It's quite a big one. PCs, Cascus. Plus intelligence modifier, plus 4 for now. Yeah, that's right. Okay, fine. Right, roll d20. What's the modifiers intelligence? Is it just
add your
is it
intelligence.
just-
Oh, and add plus your plus. Actually, let's say. What of your skills do you think would be the most applicable?
Survival?
If it's to do with.
Maybe tell me how you would go about trying to get it out, maybe, and then we'll see.
Well, I think I would use the wood and the logs around me to like try and prop it underneath the wheels
And the sort of lever,
and
use it as a
lever it
lever.
out. Yeah. And then push it forward each time to try and unstick it.
Okay, I'll say that you want all right. You want someone to do a strength check as part of this.
Hank can bark.
Right,
You want someone to do a
Hank
strength
wants to,
check. So let's do athletics on that.
Okay.
And then
Dibs.
let's do crafting. Someone do crafting to set up the situation.
That will be
I will do.
heading.
Ouch.
And then Calcifer can do the athletics one.
Okay. Cool.
Can Calcifer do the athletics and Hank try and assist him with it?
Yeah, that's fine.
So if I do athletics on Hank, it's DC 15, right?
No, aid is 20.
That was 20 to aid.
Yeah, it's 20 to 8, sorry.
Ooh. He actually has a +8 because of his armor. I'll just do it myself.
Okay.
He stands by, encouraging you.
24.
Okay, fantastic. Yep. All right, great. 2 successes. So you both are working as a sort of team. You managed to apply the lever in place and give it a bit of a tug from Calcifer and a bit of intuitive intelligence from Henning and teamwork from Cascus. The cart begins to rock and rotate a little bit, and eventually you manage to prop it up on the side of the hill, out of the sort of little sandy hole it gotten itself into. It might be a bit of a nightmare to take this cart. It's going to slow you down because you're not on a road. But they do still have some of their belongings in it, so I don't think they're going to want to.
How many belongings are in the cart?
There's probably like 4 large chests
Oh, right. Okay.
left over, and then there's like a whole bunch of just like stuff that maybe stuff, like a couple of bags and like.
So is that because the cart's like kind of broken, or because it's just
It's because it's not on it.
not good terrain?
No, yeah, you're just sort of going over. Like, imagine trying to take a cart over like a hilly grassland, a sort of flatland kind of.
Does Hanira have like any ice spells? Like anything that could like freeze the ground or do something to find that they could like harden the ground or something? Because like I assume we'd spend a lot of time trying to like avoid other potholes and getting stuck again.
You've got fly, but that only targets a creature.
I'll say you move at about half speed with the cart.
I've got grease.
I think that could. I think that can only get us so far.
Grease lightning.
Lubricate the wheel, but
Unless that's a cantrip.
It's a level 1 spell.
okay. So in that case, unless Cyan has a spell,
No, I don't think Cyan does. Either way, yeah. All right, so you begin to move. As you you're just sort of as the horse's hooves clip clop among the hillside. The elven lord figure. He looks about maybe middle-aged. He's got a sort of quite long, quite well-groomed goatee kind of situation going on. He's got quite short blonde hair that's cut. He says, "What are your names, by the way? I'm Lord Eolander, and this is Lyriel, my wife."
Do I
Lady
recognize
Lyriel.
their names?
Make another society. Oh no, you got an natural 20 last, didn't you?
Yeah.
These are. You think they might be from like a high up house in Anuna, but maybe not the people who rules it. They might be like just like parts of the court or something, or financiers or someone who's just generally quite rich.
Yep.
Anyway, he says, and you all are mostly not elves, I can tell that.
I'm Cal. This is Zank. I assume Hank sort of joined the horses in pulling the car at this point.
Hank's just walking behind, walking aside, like you're on one side of the car.
Mr. Povriv.
Henning.
I hope you forgive my fairly broken English, he says. English.
What's English?
I only learnt a small bit of common from a merchant in Nerian a long time ago. 10 years ago? Something like that?
Your common's a lot better than my Elvish.
Well, we pick up things like languages quickly.
Well, I'm sorry to hear what happened to Anuna.
It is a tragedy. I grew up in that city. I thought I would die in it. I hope I still will.
Do you know why House Ignis have done what they did?
We did not see it coming in the slightest. We imagined that... I don't know. That the Padrian would always stand aside the weaker houses. Stand alongside the weaker houses. But House Ignis clearly has gone mad.
Well, I don't know what to say. We have only seen bad things of them.
The Lord of Anuna. What's their relationship with Ignis like?
That would be Lord Galathil. High Lord Galathil. His relationship with House Ignis is strained, like many of the Rex's houses. Our greatest ally was destroyed by House Ignis not that long ago, and in their place, House Caden was set up. So now we have a hostile neighbour who is really a puppet of House Ignis on our borders. And, well, this is clearly what has come out of it. They are looking for more pieces of our territory to take. Or our allies' territory, at least. Now they've come to the Southlands.
It's a shit hand. I'm sorry.
I'm not used to your politics. I am human. But what I do not understand is why the Patron allows all of this to happen.
The Padron is a 10-year-old boy.
Forgive my turn of phrase, but I meant more broadly I think we both know that there is more than just a Patron rule in this country. Why do they not?
Each of the major High Lords have a position on the Royal Council, which is the Regency Council that ultimately decides on the Padron's decisions. Unfortunately, the High Lords have much sway in a Regency Council to make sure nothing is done by the peacekeepers that used to keep the peace amongst these parts. Daeron Kaidos is in charge of much of the military matters of House Valoran, and he decides whether to stay out of it as well. But if there is a fight that they want, House Rexis will not stand aside here. We have a large and powerful army, and we have one of the largest fleets of all the great houses. We just need some time to reform, so to speak.
Well, do you know where High Lord Galifil is? Did he survive the attack?
I have no idea. Last I heard, the entire Council of Anuna, bar only a few of us, was still in the city when we left.
I see. Well, I hope we can make polite and pleasant company while along the road.
Alright, so the cart carries on, with you all walking alongside. Eventually you begin to descend down into sort of a rocky kind of ravine, kind of area. You see ahead of you there is a sort of large. It's almost like it's almost kind of like the Grand Canyon. It's like a big canyon sort of ravine set up that you have to travel through for maybe 10 miles or so. You can try and go around, but it might add another day or so to your journey. It'll take you more along the main road. What's his name? Yolanda says, this is a pass which will take us to Narion, but it is known for potentially harboring undesirables.
And do you feel comfortable going through it with what you have?
Yeah, let's see what about here. I feel that at this point we could try and make the road.
Okay. If that's what you want.
Yeah.
But it might be worth camping here. Camping at this relative point of safety first, and then making the journey on the road tomorrow.
Okay.
Unless we wanted to travel overnight. But traveling on the main road during night is dangerous.
Up to you. I think between us we should be able to protect you and your things from any common bandit type folk.
Great. Right, well I am going to get some sleep then. And then he says, come on Lyriel, let us rest. And him and Lyriel go into the cart and they shut the door.
And it is a bit of money, huh?
Yeah, I mean most I've seen so far.
I think a whole city completely emptied in the space of a few hours. Okay. It's kind of like making a fire and like twiddling on it.
I'll cast Cozy Cabin.
Okay. Okay, so once again, your cabin appears magically out of the ground after focusing on it for a little while. The sort of terrain you're in at the moment, so obviously it's just about to go into this kind of ravine situation, but if you're going to turn and take the main road from here, you can sort of see in the distance the main road. You see a few camps littered alongside the side of the main road in the distance. It's quite hard to tell quite who's there, but you do notice movement around there. Probably about a mile away, maybe a mile and a half or something. But there's no way they can see over to you. You're just sort of like peering over a hill in the darkness. But you notice when you look sort of in the easterly direction, you do see sort of a big stream of lights coming over the horizon, over the hills in the distance. Can't quite tell whether that's an army or not, or whether it's another large group of people, maybe more refugees. But either way, so you're going to take watches, are you?
Yes.
Okay. Who's going first then?
I guess I can go first.
All right.
Yeah, do we need to double up?
No. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can.
Yeah, I suppose the question is more: do we have the option of doubling up, or do we need to not double up?
I think one of you can, like one group can double up.
Anyone would like to do the watch, but on his own.
Okay, cool. So who's going to double up then, if anyone? Hank and Calcifer.
I would like to double up with Nera if possible.
Okay, sure. So who's going first then? Caskias?
Yeah.
All right, Caskias.
He's gonna sulk a little bit. It's the first time in the campaign he's agreed to take a watch. So the fact that nobody's there to say well done to him is highly distressing.
Well, it's been it's a distressing few days, really. Like, you are effectively trapped somewhere that you don't know. You're not very comfortable. You're having to do shit work, and you're essentially being chased by an army. So yeah, not a particularly good night. But either way, give me a perception check. Okay, so even though you have made the effort to do a watch, your will isn't quite there. As the night progresses, you find yourself getting more and more sleepy. You find yourself getting a bit more bored, and you sort of rest your eyes for a few minutes, and when you wake up, you realise that actually like 3 more. It's almost getting light. And you've also not woken up the next one.
What?
But nothing happened.
Okay. Well, Cascus wakes up.
So you've got another watch in you now. Well, there's another watch to go, so you sort of skipped over one.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess who are you going to wake up now?
I'll wake up. Calcifer in here,
Calcifer in here. Okay, cool.
or just Calcifer. Maybe she stirs, noticing.
Okay. You notice Cascus sort of groggily wake you up.
Weaponized incompetence.
It is strange. Like it does feel like you've slept in a few more hours. Like the sun seems to be getting, or the sun is rising way earlier than you.
Oh, this cabin's pretty cozy, isn't it? That 1 hour feels like I've had several. Oh, I can really see the summer coming along. Sun's rising pretty early these days. All right, cheers. And I'll when Casca's sort of gone off to go to bed. No, Hank, you can go back to sleep. I'll sort of wake an hour up. Like,
Okay.
do you mind if we have a chat?
Sure. Do you want me to teach you Elvish?
I mean, not right now. Maybe some, maybe a few key phrases later. But I had something to ask you.
Right.
And sort of like go outside, maybe sit on the roof or something. Where you're from? What's the church lot like?
The church?
Yeah. Yeah, the religious folk.
Like
The Shiana.
the
The priests.
Are those the one with the heads?
The weird fishbowl things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the Shiana, the ones with the weird fishbowl heads.
Ugh. Is that just like a normal priest there?
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. You just used to that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every High Lord would have multiple sort of just like in the royal court. They just go around, they do things. Very often they're used as sort of bureaucrats or sort of note takers. They're often quite strange. Like they often say weird things and do weird things, but they're never violent. There's never been any case really of a priest doing anything actually that bad. Like they almost seem too nice, and they're quite creepy very often. Like High Lords trust them with their lives, basically. Like, you know, there's never been one that's publicly betrayed their High Lord or anything.
Who do you worship?
Sarkodan.
Who's that?
I mean, he's mostly about like. I mean, the basic idea is no matter what you've done, you can, you know, maybe not completely make up for it, but you can always come back, do better.
Right. And
Anyway.
how's that working out for you?
Yeah, well, I mean,
What
I
bad
just,
things
just
have you
sort
done?
of gesture wildly.
What bad things have you done that you need to be forgiven for?
Well, it depends who you ask, to be honest, but,
I'm asking you.
well, look, my kids are still in Eshmanan.
You have kids.
Yeah,
What, and you abandoned them?
yeah.
Hank is going.
Hank, shush, quiet down. All right, come up. All right, come on my lap. All right. Oh, you're a big boy. Where was I? Yeah. Obviously, I want to go back, but things don't allow that right now.
Did you have, like, a wife?
That's kind of what I wanted to. That's kind of related to what I wanted to ask about.
What?
No. Look. You seem nice, but look, no. Look, I just.
Nose bleeding.
Elsewhere's, yeah, nose bleeding and blushing now.
No, look. You seem nice, but like, no, you're.
It's gay. It's gay.
No. How? What I wanted to ask is where you're from. How do the church feel about, well, necromancy? Bringing people back.
Your wife's dead?
Counselor just gives a nod.
I mean, there's magic to do it right, bring people back, but it's hard stuff.
Yeah, I thought I could maybe earn enough in Port Dalron, but not Port Dalron, Port Edrin. You know, those merchants, they'll sell anything. But turns out it's really expensive.
Yeah, I've heard stories of priests and clerics being able to bring people back to life, but I don't know anything about it, really.
Right. I'm just wondering if those services might be available where you're from.
I don't know. Yeah, I wasn't really allowed out of the like manor that I lived in very often, so I didn't really get around, so I don't really know about things like that.
Alright.
But you can ask when we get there.
Yeah, I just don't want to go in and, you know, cause a ruckus and have people, you know, start shouting, "Oh, necromancy!" You know, some people get weird about it.
So who do your kids live with?
My brother. They'll be
Right.
taken care of, but it's no substitute.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your loss. How did she die?
Rather not go into that right now. But yeah, it's part of why I can't go back till it's with her.
You like have a bit of her body with you?
Casper kind of just reaches kind of into his like just over the top of his armor and pulls out a small locket.
Mm-hmm.
This is... I will protect this with my life. I lose this, got no chance.
Okay.
You just like stuff it back in, like behind everything. Well, I think I might go for a little wander. I won't go far.
All right, give me perception checks, both of you.
Not great at these. Ooh.
All right, Hanira. Calcifer, I guess you just got too much on your mind. But after a while, Hanira, you just sort of just stay up and look at the stars for the sort of the morning sky for a little bit. And you see in the distance something moving behind the clouds, flittering in amongst the clouds. It's very small at first, and then seems to be getting bigger and bigger on the horizon. Eventually, you notice it seems to be one of those Kiraxes that you saw before.
Is it black?
No, it seems to be a golden one in the sky, and it seems to be circling over your camp.
Calcifer. I point it out.
Just like
It
squinting.
seems to be doing kind of lazy figure of 8 patterns over you guys, definitely. And then after about 5 minutes of doing that, it just sort of turns around and goes back.
Are they native to around here?
Yeah.
Make a perception check, Hanira, just to look up at it.
17.
It's really hard to tell what is really going on with it because it's quite high up in the sky. You can sort of half make out that maybe there's someone on top of it though. Might be a scout.
Yeah. I think it's best we move on. Let's wake everyone up.
Right now.
Yep. It's almost morning anyway.
All right, so you begin to wake everyone up. Yolanda sort of wakes up and she says, "Oh, right. Well, why are you waking us up? What's the deal?"
There was a scout on a Kirax, and I think it's time we move on.
A scout on a Kirax?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was circling overhead.
Well, now I'm worried about heading onto the road.
Why?
Well, I cannot. Did you manage to see whether it was House Ignis or House Kian or?
I didn't manage to see.
There's a chance we have been noticed.
Do you think the Ignis will be after you specifically?
I do not know why they would be after me specifically. No.
Your husband?
this was Yolanda.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was his wife.
No. He says, I'll put the trust in your park. You can if we are to take the road, hopefully we can be quick enough. So the camp then I guess gets packed up. You okay to take the road, or did you want to take the other path?
No, I think we'll take the road.
Okay. No problem.
Oh yeah, we've got the wagon. Probably a lot easier.
All right. So yeah, it only takes about an hour or so to actually make your way onto the main road. And now you notice there's a sort of steady trickle of people. There's maybe a few groups here, a few groups there. Quite a lot of people who look very poor. A lot of elves who they don't really have much. They might have like a very skinny kind of horse or donkey or something with a cart that has not very much on it. Maybe some food. Lots of women, lots of children, and there's a couple of guards who are sort of walking with them. They seem to be soldiers from house from Anuna, basically. So from the city that was there, and they've just grabbed their things and just made their way on the road as well. It's only a couple of days. It's really only like maybe 3 days on the road, so they managed to make it over here quite quickly. In that case, after you sort of begin to get on the road, which is this quite rounded cobbled road, the wheels of the cart begin to actually clack on the sort of the stones as you walk down. You notice that there's maybe 5 or 6 more Kiraxes which appear in the sky, flying towards you. But it seems to be coming from the west. So it seems to be coming maybe from Nerian.
Just keep our head down and carry on.
They so as you begin to walk, you begin to carry on down the road, and the Kiraxes begin to circle above you all, and then begin to file down one by one. As one of the large beasts slams on the ground, just to remind you, it's sort of like almost like a half cat like creature with bat wings and this long spiky tail at the back that it would use to bash people with. It just lands quite gracefully, with an elf knight, a woman on top, with this like huge lance that has multiple tassels of like sort of purple and gold and yellow, which sort of just like come down from the top. She says, "Hold right there," in Elvish.
I stop and I tell everybody else to stop.
She a couple more of the Kiraxes land around you, and says, "You just joined the road. I noticed you on the outskirts." She gets off the Kirax and comes over and says, "I'm Captain Rhiannon Thera. States your loyalty."
Is it still in Elvish?
Yeah. Yolanda says, I am Lord Yolanda, and this is Lady Lyriel. We were servants of Lord Galathil and Lady Mithriel of Anuna." And the guards look at all of you as well and says, "You are not elves." Rhiannon Thera sort of looks at all of you. Other than Cyan and Hanera, she says, "You are not elves. You're not welcome in this land."
Do we know what's the words? Regalia, not regalia. What her colours are, like what they mean.
The colours on her lance?
No, yeah, like what house does it look like she's from?
Oh right, so she's from House Kian. So House
Okay.
Kian, House Kian's colours, they are blue under House Rexis, but the normal colours are purple and gold.
Okay. All right.
I assume that's in common this time.
Yeah, the second time she did it was, yeah. It is a pleasure to meet you. He kind of looks at Hinera, Cascus, and says, "Maybe it is best to introduce yourself."
Okay, I'm Hanira Trisfair. I'm on a visit to see my my lady mother's second cousin, And these are my friends.
Lady Trusfer. This
Indeed.
is a dangerous time to be visiting Nerian.
Well, I see that now.
You also notice that the Lord Yolanda that you're with sort of looks at you and is like kind of a mouth agape, considering that you're like multiple rungs up the ladder higher than he is, and he's hired you to help him. Yeah. So the captain turns around and barks some orders at the other people and says, "We'll have a Kirak sent for you immediately. You are to not stay on the road here. It's too dangerous."
Oh, thank you.
This is well understood, but we are currently on a job. No, yes.
Well, we can bring Kiraxes for all of you.
And their cart.
We'll send people. We'll send people with the carts.
Okay.
She barks some orders, and one of the Kirax riders goes off towards the city. And she sort of her and a couple of the other soldiers escort you off the road, just put you sort of just off the road a little bit. She says, "Hanira Trisfer, what are you doing here?"
Don't really know. I'm employed under the Adventurers Guild. in Port Edron. And they sent me on this task.
We're on a diplomatic mission of sorts.
What, to Nerian?
Partly.
Well, all about
Partly.
yeah, kind of all about the place.
Right.
We're happy to speak to your liege lord when you return to Nerian.
Very well. Well, I do not. Yes, I do not hold judgment. But this is a dangerous road to be on. There is an Ignis army the other side of the river.
Yes, that is a problem.
All right. So after a while, you notice that a few more Kirax riders come. They get off their Kiraxes and then sort of double up on the other ones. And some of them get off and go onto the cart and says that we'll take over from here, from Lord Yolanda. And Lord Yolanda says, "I will find you at the house for payment. Don't worry."
It was a pleasure sharing the road with you.
Aye.
Well, the lack of road.
So one by one, you're led to the Kiraxes, these large beasts, which now you are asked to ride.
I'll bank Hank.
Oh,
Yeah,
bank the
is
Hank.
banked. It looks quite scary. You can double up on them. It's your choice. If you don't feel confident in being able to control it, it should be quite easy to control. But if you're not an elf, it's going to be harder.
I'm very excited to ride this. I've seen them in the sky, and I've always wanted to ride them. And that's my chance. My dad would never let me.
All right, Hank, all the time. How hard can it be?
I'm not entirely confident in my ability to ride this.
Myself either. I would rather eat build rats, to be honest.
Well, you can get on the back with Hanira then.
Excellent. Anira, I apologize if I what is the term? Bring all of the air out of you.
Means scream like a little girl.
No, I say just a lot of tight holding, you know.
And then Henning, are you going to try and ride one, or are you going to just go double up with Calcifer?
That's a bit Calcifer. I
Yeah.
don't really feel very confident in steering this thing. I don't suppose I could hang off the back of yours.
Yeah, it's fine. Just hang on. But no funny business.
Don't worry, there won't be.
Cyan takes a liking to one of them and gets on and begins to fly off. Alright, so it's just Hanira and Calcifer then, is it?
Yep.
I think so, yeah.
Is there animal handling checks?
Nature.
swear there is animal hand.
No, there's no.
Athletics to just cling on for dear life.
Actually, I'll let you describe how you're going to try and ride it. Whether you're going to be trying to use kind of logic, or if you're just going to just brute force it.
I would like to sort of just allow it to do its own thing, following the others, and just use my strength to like hold on.
All right, so athletics or acrobatics to hold on, I guess. Luckily, Kiraxes are pack animals. They do seem to follow quite well. And Casper, you have no problem holding on. Henning?
Yeah. You want me to roll athletics? Yeah. Okay.
Or acrobatics. Is your...
Oh. I mean.
That's okay. That's all right. So you managed to hold on as well. It's a bit scary, especially the second the Kirax takes off. Its wings buffer in quite a loud way, and it sort of distracts you. You take off very quickly, and before you know it, you're sort of really high up. And just you manage to hold on perfectly. And after a while, it's quite comfortable actually. Sailing on the clouds, it's quite nice. The air against your face. Right, Hanira. Give me a check.
Okay. Can I do nature? Or
Yeah,
does it have?
No,
Okay.
So you're going for more the like connecting with the animal approach.
Yeah. 29.
Alright. Okay, so as you sort of begin to walk up to the Kirax, you put your hand up to it, and it sort of almost instinctively bows its head to you. And its fur is really soft, and you sort of give it a stroke. These Kiraxes are gold, sort of kind of white, and with like gold highlights all along them. Their claws are gold, their eyes are gold. Like where a dog has like sort of dark lips and like sort of dark gums. There's a gold, and there's occasionally bits of meat in them. They've got very sharp teeth. But it's cute as well. Like you give it a stroke, its pointed ears sort of flop against your hand.
Nice.
And you connect with it really well. Like the second you get on it, it seems raring to go. Is it Cascus who's going with you?
Yeah.
All right, Cascus. What check are you gonna do?
The hold on for dear life check. So acrobatics. He might even like accidentally piss off the creature coming on. It wouldn't surprise me. Oh wow, absolutely nailed it.
It's a natural born rider.
All right, well, yeah, you managed to hold on for dear life as well, and Hanira sort of instinctively connects with the animal so well that she's not necessarily looking at you very much. Like you're just sort of holding on, but you managed to hold on quite well. You don't fall off because you're not quite sure whether I guess Hanira would come back for you. But doing circles in the air and sort of just riding up and down, it's not that long a journey. So as you fly through the air, you have a whole bunch of the other Kirax riders escorting you, and eventually, as the clouds begin to break, you look in the distance, and on the edge of a bay, just situated on the top of a whole bunch of sort of very bright white cliffs, is a white city. Of Nerion. It's not massive. It's probably about the same size as a Lanrion, really. Maybe a little larger. There seems to be like quite a large residential district, at least in the city, closer to the water. And there's like a whole bunch of boats out at sea. Either maybe they're fishing or maybe they're sort of foraging for pearls or something. You can't quite make sure.
Does it seem like it actually has any chance of housing the number of people coming to it?
No.
Can we see people like winding along the road?
Yeah, so as you sort of fly overhead and you're sort of following the road towards the city of Nerion, you see by the main gate leading into the city there is a large group of people being held back by quite a lot of soldiers. And you can hear sort of shouting and general discontent coming from the crowds. And the crowds are building up and building up. There's like a lot of tents outside. There's sort of almost like a refugee kind of community on the outside of the city. There's quite a bit of panic which seems to come, probably because the crowd, in the brief time that you were actually on the road, you did notice a quite like an air of, oh god, there's probably an army like on our behind. So don't want to be caught by that. But being held out of the city walls, you know, like this is only the first beginnings of people starting to reach the city. In the next couple of days, this number is going to triple, quadruple, maybe even. Yeah, you hear what some of the soldiers say. It's gotten even bigger. And Captain Rhiannon says, it will be okay. We'll find space for all of them. They need it.
So what are you a captain of?
I am I am the captain of the guard of House Kian. It has been a long couple of nights. We're on full alert for potential attacks from House Ignis.
Do you know if any idea if word got to Alanrian?
We do not know yet. We are quite out of the way, and a lot of the roads have been cut off, it seems. The road to Anuna has an army on it, and we've got reports from scouts outside of the city of Herazdan. Even the old passes through the old city are blocked off by Ignis soldiers. We've sent out boats to Moxis and Galath Yar for assistance, but we haven't heard back from them yet. It probably won't be a week or so until we hear back from them.
Can I politely ask that we have this conversation when we are on the ground instead of stopping still in midair?
You're flying and going. Because Kiraxes can fly quite near each other, you can just sort of talk over the air. But either way, you circle above the city of Nerion and land in the main gardens of the palace. The palace itself doesn't seem to be as large and as grand in comparison to the size of the rest of the city as Alanrian's was, but still it's comfortable and it's very fitting of a High Lord. And House Kian, there's a lot of purple and gold flags around. As you enter the palace, all the Kiraxes land, and there's probably maybe like 20 or 30 guards who've now joined the group and all begin to dismount their Kiraxes and begin to talk to Captain Rhiannon. Captain Rhiannon says, "If you won't mind coming with me, I need to take you to High Lord Errol Kian."
Yes, that'd be nice.
Are you sure he has time with all that is going on around?
Well, we didn't quite expect to have a tryst fair in here, so we now have to deal with that. No offense, my lady. And she turns around and leads you to the sort of kind of throne room situation. Opening it up, there is an quite old elf sitting on the throne, speaking to a whole bunch of different knights. A couple of them seem to be kitted out in really fancy armor, ancient armor. Maybe not shade steel armor, but it's quite hard to tell sometimes. Although there are at least a couple of shade wielders in this group, like a couple of the main captains. You can tell a shade wielder, Hanera at least can, because they don't carry any swords. Like if you see a knight in full battle ready equipment and they're not carrying a sword, they're probably a shade wielder.
Or if they can just punch real good.
Yeah, well, there's that as well. It's a potential threat. But there's at least 3 quite grizzled veteran warriors around here who seem to not be carrying any swords. The rest are. High Lord Errol stands up and says, "Captain Rhiannon, why have you brought a bunch of strange folk to my to my throne room?" And she says, "My lord, this is Hanera Tristfair, your second cousin or third cousin once removed. What did we say?
Second cousin once removed, I think it is.
Okay,
I think you're
second
right.
cousin once removed. And he turns to you and says, "Hanera, I haven't seen you since you were a baby.
Yes, it's nice to see you too.
I'm sure you probably don't remember me. Then.
No, unfortunately, I don't.
Well, he sort of stands. He's like he is quite old. His hair is long and sort of beginning to grey. He's got very sharp features, and his eyes are very pale blue. He's maybe got some Rodran blood in him, perhaps, especially if he's related to your mother. He looks down at you and says, "You do look like your mother."
Oh, thank you. My mother's very beautiful.
Yes. Well, I am sorry. Why are you here? This is a dangerous time.
We were traveling to the Emerald City and got accosted by soldiers on the road.
You were traveling to the Emerald City.
We were.
For what business, may I ask?
I don't exactly know. We were going to
If I may interject, my name is Kaskis Povrov. Pleasure to meet you. Does a big flowery bow.
Oh,
Nice.
this is my friend Casca's Proverb.
Right.
It is a pleasure, my lord. Please do not be too discounted by my human appearance. What my friend was trying to tell us is that we have been sent on a diplomatic mission of sorts, all the way from the from Port Eton.
Right. Well, I'm sorry. I am sorry to let you down, but there's not much I can do right now. We are fighting what seems to be an invasion.
Well, it is. You seem to think it is not part of the problem, but I might actually beg to bear to differ in some respect, if that is okay. You see, we understand that there's a lot of politicking going on around at the moment, and House Ignis has got a bit more fire in its belly than usual to, how do I say, be a bit more jumpy than it may usually be.
Right. You saying you know something about why this might be happening?
It is complex, and although I cannot attest to specific evidence at this point, I hope you have at least reasonable authority that we might be able to be of assistance, and vice versa.
Well, anyone who's up for killing Ignis troops, I've got to say, I respect that.
Perhaps if we can please just gather our thoughts briefly and maybe come back to yourself later. I do not want to impose too much time upon you, and not at least you are busy with all the refugees coming in, but we might be able to have something to provide, and in return, we can have a discussion of sorts.
A door sort of nearby opens up, and a servant comes through and says, "My lord," and you see the High Lord turn to him. He says, "Reports from the front. An Ignis army is beginning to cross the Black Witch. Should we engage?" And he says, "No. We must collect everyone, bring them in within the walls as soon as possible. Send out forward scouts to hold off their crossing as long as possible, but we can't spare too many troops fighting that. We must defend the city." He says, "Very well, my lord," and turns around and goes off. He says, the sort of throne room has this sort of like air of people don't quite know what to say. There's like a quite a tense atmosphere going about. He says, "It will be okay. I have sent assistance to Moxis and Galeth Yar. Hopefully the fleet will come with supplies and more troops. These walls have never fallen before." You can hear someone in the distance say, "Yes, but that's what they said about Anuna as well."
Just a question. Maybe Kaskis would actually know the answer to this. But why aren't they calling aid from Slarian?
It's too far away. They don't have.
But like, surely, if Ignis is invading Raksha's territory, then that's like something they probably should be interested in.
Yeah, but from here, the only way to get there is to go via. He says, I mean, to be fair, you can ask him. Like,
Well, I don't want to appear, it's not my place, right?
Yeah, no, sure, but as far as you can tell, they've done everything they can do. Obviously, the House Rextus do know that this is happening, but obviously they only have what they have nearby, and they are fairly cut off compared to the others. So.
Oh, I will say, as time is of the essence here, if you can open a line to Kelrius, I think you'll find they'll be quite willing to, to work with you.
Yes. Well, we have sent boats out to everywhere we can. As far as we can tell, we have enough for a fairly reasonable defense fleet of Nerian. From Moxis and Galathiar, that's the closest. They're who we are hoping for the most. Hopefully, they should be here within 3 or 4 days. The city should not fall to a siege by then, that's for sure. So someone pipes up and says, "My lord, just a question. The refugees that are, well, there's not really enough space in the city for them, and well, we can't quite tell who's part of the group. We don't know whether they're safe or not." He says, "This is going to be a hard decision." He turns to you, Hanira. Well, Hanira Trisfair, what do you think your mother would do?
I think, she would let the refugees in and try and get them on boats to take them somewhere else.
High Lord Errolkian turns to the elf who suggested that, and he says, "You heard the lady. Make preparations." He says, "Yes, my lord." All right. Well,
Sorry, can I just, when he invokes Shanira's mother's, because he's mentioned her a few times,
yeah.
is there I don't know, a glint in his eye almost?
Glint in his eye.
They're cousins!
I don't know.
Make it.
Is that how else do it?
Sweet
Make it-
home
make a sen-
Alabama.
Yeah, make a sense motive check.
Okay,
Sweet home Adenura.
that's a 20. That hashtag expert level modifier.
I'll hang on. Let's go into a different chat.
Spicy.
I'm just gonna go for a wee, so don't let them do anything exciting when I come back.
You are now madly in love. So, Russian spammers, how are you? While we have this brief interlude.
No, they're called puddings now.
Oh, pudding. Sorry. Hello, pudding spammers.
No, just pudding.
Oh.
Right, pudding.
All right, pudding.
No, we should probably just stick to pudding, not specific colours of pudding. Then it will sound weird.
Okay. So,
Welcome back. You
yeah,
didn't come into anything weird.
That's cool. It's all on the stream anyway.
No.
No.
No!
So Cascus, you got that information. Anyway, he says to the rest of you, find some place to get some rest, and then I'll maybe come help when you are able to. I have some more preparation to make.
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Yeah. So, what did you want to do, everyone? What's the goal?
Can we just find a small room or something? Just recoup and figure out what the hell.
Want to
we
get
wanna
our 100 gold?
do? Yeah.
Yeah, what if they don't make it into the city?
No, they came in on characters,
Oh,
didn't they?
no. They were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're getting escorted in by the guard,
Yeah, they were.
so they should make it.
Okay, so after a little while, you manage. So if that's the first thing you want to do, you're led to just a sort of lounge area where you can just rest up for a bit. Like you can just, like quite a few guards are coming in and coming out, and soldiers are sort of arming themselves and popping in. But there are like kind of sofa bed thing, like lounger recliner type things that you could just sort of get some rest on.
Yeah.
Just sort of wait a moment.
Mhm.
It's hard to find like a lot of privacy, but obviously you can just speak in common. Like a lot of the elves here don't speak common. So.
Yeah. Yeah. First impressions?
He seems friendly.
Is that it? If you want my advice, he sounds a bit cuckoo to me. I'm not sure he is somebody I want to be held up in a siege with, if you know what I mean.
I think we should get on the boat with the refugees.
Well, if there's a boat for the refugees. I don't know about you, but I did not see 10,000 ships in the harbor.
Yeah, but maybe they'll try and send the ones that can afford it.
Oh, that's great. And I mean, have you seen Kasov? He doesn't actually have the money to afford it. I mean, granted, with you, but
Alright,
I don't know.
I'll have you know, I've got 20 gold in the pipeline.
Oh, good for you. Good for you. Honestly, I think we should get the gold and cut it and run. This guy, although he is this High Lord is how do you say? He's an ally to your cause, and probably somebody we could work with. I fear he is one day away from becoming cuckoo. You know.
What makes you say that?
I mean, you did see what he just did, right? Hmm?
What did he just do?
No, the room, the people around him, his leadership was terrible. He made a decision based on what was basically what he thought your mother would do. That doesn't strike me as good decision making.
Hey, my mother is a very intelligent woman.
Perhaps, but your mother is not here to understand the situation.
To
And
be
for him to
honest,
just suddenly make a decision that is huge. There's so many refugees coming up the road, and there's just not room in the city.
I think
most
he was trying to pay respects to me and my mother rather than make a good decision to the city.
So
Plus,
what? He made a terrible decision regardless.
I mean, a good leader takes, they don't just make all decisions themselves, do they? Listen to their
True, but
advisors,
a
people
good
they
leader
trust.
looks after his own people, not the people of Aruna. Aruna? I regret to inform you, but this city will not be able to hold all those people, even if you send them on ships. It is just not going to work.
Maybe not all of them, but should do what they can, right?
At the expense of its own people. That was a decision erratic. It was silly. I do not want to be locked up in a siege with somebody who is going to do that.
What would you do?
What would
Shut
I
them
do?
all out, let them die?
Yes. The reason they are coming this way is precisely so Ignis hopes that they do this, no?
If he shuts out every refugee from Anuna, then when this war is over, they ain't gonna be friends.
But all it takes is they won't be at this place. All it'll take is one refugee who pretends to be an Ignis soldier, and the gates will be opened at midnight tonight. I mean, this war is not our problem, no? To a certain extent, I do not see we can make a difference here. I just let us just agree that it's best that we do not get holed up in here before we cannot get out.
I mean, being in here for a siege doesn't really sound conducive to our cause. Plus, I mean, like it or not, he's been dragged into our cause anyway. Not sure he's really going to take much convincing. Ignis has kind of made that decision for him.
I agree, but you see, I'm just not convinced that he he is a good ally. He is a bit nutty. Hmm? I mean, you could apparently Hanera can manipulate him as much as she wants by the sounds of it, but I just worry that the city will not be here in a few days. That is all.
Yeah, I think we should get our money and get out. I agree. But I think the only boats that will be leaving will be refugee boats.
Okay, okay.
And then where would you go? Says Nyx.
Well, wherever the boat goes.
You really just run? Let the city fall?
Well, but how are we gonna help?
We're just 5 people. 6 if you count you. I'm not sure if you're a person.
And Hank.
Hank is not a person.
So everyone here should just give up and leave?
I am not a citizen of this place, Nix. I do not know about you, but I do not owe these people anything.
But how will anything ever change if good people just sort of run away when bad things happen?
Ha! You think I am good? Maybe
you're
others
better.
can stay.
I think you're better than those Ignis soldiers.
I think it depends where we can make the most difference. Stuck here in a siege? I'm not so sure.
I
But
agree.
where can we realistically get to that we're going to do any better? Galathiar off on some island, Moxis, same thing. Plus that just puts us closer to Ignis.
Isn't that a good thing? No, we could get close to him and take him out.
I mean, really, we want to get the other side, right? But there's an Ignis army in the way.
I just want to be clear. Just from the get-go, I'm not marrying anyone to make an alliance.
That did not cross my mind. But, okay.
I've just been thinking about it, and it's not happening.
What would you marry someone for then?
Love. I don't really want to get married.
What do you think, Henning?
As much as I want to agree with Cascus, I also agree with Calcifer. I'm not entirely sure where we're going to go. We're a bit surrounded here, aren't we?
Could we not sneak out, take a There's a lot of area off the side of the road. Could we not slip past?
Doubt
We
it.
could go to Kelrius and start again.
Ah, yes, because we're so very welcome back there.
What if those armies are heading for Kelrius?
Probably
Then when
not.
you get there, then they'll... You can't run from there as well.
I mean, if we were going to get there, we'd have to at least beat the Ignis army.
I mean, I'm happy to... Oh, what am I? No, what am I saying? No, I'm not that type of person. I need to run. I do not want to be here.
I think
You do a lot of running, don't you?
Oh, I thought we could get a boat to Kelrius and then get a boat to the Emerald Cities.
that's assuming the Ignis fleet isn't coming round as we speak.
That's why we go, like, now?
I do not think we could take a boat lightly, right? I feel like any boat could be used fairly sparingly right now.
Ignis has one of the most powerful, maybe the most powerful fleet, in the continent. For all we know, 20 miles out to sea, they're there. For all we know, those boats that have gone off to Galthiar and Moxis, gone. It wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to just send the land army, right? They'd probably send the fleet with them.
For
Yeah.
resupply, potentially, yes, I can see that.
That is
They've
unless they
been-
want to stay. They want the fleet behind to defend. I don't know. I'm no war man.
I don't think any of us are. It's all on guesses and hunches. So fair enough if we cannot get out, but could we not take a flight out? You're a tourist fair. Your safety is important, no?
But I'd worry about being shot down. And they probably have characters as well.
So we are stuck in what will be a long protracted siege with a madman and 10 million refugees.
Looks like it.
Sounds perfect.
Well, you can always try, whatever your plan is.
I mean, we could, but I don't know, like the balance of probability if there's like thousands of people out the front. I don't know.
I think slipping past an entire army is going to be pretty difficult.
Small groups can slip past armies. It's big groups that can't. It's other armies.
But they may have scout.
Sure, but that's something that it's risky. Yeah, potentially. But also, you're quite competent in combat, so you might be able to hold your own against like a squad of scouts.
Henira, would you be prepared to abandon your this relation and go?
Actually, should we take a 15-minute break? It's probably a good time to
sure.
take one now, and then have a bit of a think. 15-minute break, and then see what your plan is afterwards.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, so come back at 9.
All right. See you in 15 minutes. Puddin'.
Alright, hello, welcome back. So just before the break, the party had arrived at the city of Nerion, escorted there by a contingent of Kirak's sort of scouts. You met the captain of the guard, Rhiannon Thera. You also met High Lord Errol Kian of House Kian, who seemed to be more than willing to take Hera's advice on exactly what he should do. But you've sort of you just sort of debated a little bit about what your next goals are, really. So what is it? What's the plan? As you're sort of waiting here in this back room, guards and soldiers occasionally come through, pile through. You notice that in the window overlooking the main courtyard, you see like rows and rows of soldiers starting to be summoned and lined up. You see maybe pretty much every able-bodied kind of elf who's willing to put themselves in the army is being processed, handed weapons. Yeah, the bay itself. There's quite a few boats in the bay. You may be able to chance it.
I think we decided on balance, after much deliberation, to stay.
Yeah, just sort of stay and help where we can. Whether that's using our various skills throughout the day when there's no actual active fighting going on, or helping out with defending some particular area. Sort of offer our services.
So you are going to stay.
We are staying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So all right. What are you doing in game then? What's everyone doing?
Well, I think we're gonna go to. Hold on. Their name is Captain Rhiannon.
Yeah.
If she's around, and just and let her know that we're planning on staying.
Okay. You find her in the main courtyard. She's barking orders at a whole bunch of new recruits, and she notices you approach, and she says, "I'm busy. State your business."
We want to help.
You want to help?
Yeah.
You're not even elves. This isn't your fight.
Still, we're here, and we're allies. Or at least we'd like to be.
Right. She turns to you, Hanera, and says, "If you are killed, it might bring your house into this war as well." Just be aware of that. House Kydus and House Ignis are not very friendly when it comes to their enemies. This is a war that potentially is either going to be the end of House Ignis and House Kydus, or House Trisfer and House Raxus.
House Kydus don't like me very much anyway.
Well, in that case, what should I have you do?
Right.
What's your skills, all of you?
Like look over training, and we can help with some maintenance.
I can also create potions, healing, or otherwise offensive ones.
I'm good with healing.
I'm
Not
pretty,
magical, but just regular.
I'm pretty good with decent with an anvil.
Oh yes, just before I forget, Yolande gave me this to give to you, and she hands over a pouch of gold.
Wow, that was quick.
100 gold pieces.
Nice.
Payment, finally.
20 each.
Yeah.
Let's split that out this time rather than have it all go on one person who then dies.
It's alright, we'll get that money back eventually.
She says, so from... come with me then, let me show you the map. And she takes you to a sort of war room that has been set up. One of the it's like a study basically in the palace. A large map on the table, which you can effectively see this, where you notice that there is a whole bunch of models on the table. Let me just. She points to all of these and says, "This is what we imagine is our forces right now, and their confirmed sightings of their forces. So there seems to be 5 main Ignis armies. 1 has remained at Anuna, 4 have gone south of Anuna, and then 1 seems to be crossing the Blackwitch River, I assume, to lock us down. So it is only 1 of them. But it is risky. It will be a risky attack. I assume they just want to besiege us."
Do you know where the hexweaves are being kept?
Well, Lord Errol Kean, High Lord Errol Kean only has 1.
Okay, so could you not cut the bridge off? I do not. Apologies, this is not my place. But could you not cut the bridge off once the Ignis army has made its way closer to Nerion?
That would require to send a force behind enemy lines.
A few saboteurs, no?
Is it a wooden bridge?
It is quite a large bridge, but there are things that could bring it down.
But is it wooden?
There are parts of it which are wooden.
So we could set fire to it.
Could.
I like fire.
If that is what you wish to attempt. But I'm not sure exactly what your goal with that would be.
Well, it would be to starve them of their resupply lines, no?
Well, I assume each of their armies has a hexweave to themselves.
But you said that there was only 1.
There is only 1 in this city, Nerion.
Oh, apologies. I thought I meant to say within the Ignis army.
We do not have any information about the Ignis troops.
Oh, I see. Maybe not as useful then.
There is a chance, however, if you were to potentially get support, the city of Essis to the north is one of our cities. It doesn't seem to have been invaded yet.
How would they get here?
They would have to cross over the Scorched Flats. It is a dangerous crossing. There are many dangerous animals there, but an army has been known to cross them before.
How many men in Essis?
It is a larger city than Nerion. We could probably get 10,000 elves from them as a support group.
Do you think it is worth a try?
It would be a dangerous crossing. You'd have to cross the Scorched Flats to get there, unless we sent a boat, but that could be risky.
Have there been any sightings of Ignis fleet?
Not yet, but we haven't heard anything back from Moxis or Galathiar yet.
So for all we know, that boat's been in those. They've been intercepted.
Well, we only sent out the boats last night, really.
Right.
We're still waiting on a reply. But that being said, it is your choice how you get to Essis. We could provide you with a boat, or you could try and take the land route.
What are the coasts like along the Scorched Flat? Maybe this is a question, I suppose, in character, but...
Says the Scorched Flats are dangerous. They're sandy. There is a magical sort of curse on this land from a long time ago, from the wars against the Titans. The sun shines hotter in this area of Adana.
Interesting. And what of the cliffs? I'm just thinking if we took a boat or a ship, would we be able to keep it close to the shoreline in the event the fleet did emerge and pop off, or
Well, I couldn't provide you with a huge boat, but it would be quick.
I prefer the sea route if I am being honest.
Yeah, same.
I'm not sure. I'm just worried at sea. Easy to spot. And even if we see them before we... Even if we see them... Escaping is going to be rough.
Perhaps
We don't have the gift of being unseen at sea.
I do not fancy crossing the Scotch Flats for what will be 2 weeks, probably there and back. A ship, although quicker and more riskier, perhaps it feels like a better chance. No.
I'm not.
It wouldn't be too like if you were walking via the. I mean, you'd probably want to get a boat at least over here, and then walk from there.
That would be my preference.
It wouldn't take that long. It would take probably like a day's travel to get there, and then another day to get to Essos across the Scorch, like a day and a half across the Scorch Flats, maybe.
That would be my preference.
Yeah, same.
Well, that is if
Wait,
we
no.
go. That is if we go to Essos at all.
I think we should go and burn this bridge down so no more troops can get to us. Are there other bridges along the river?
There is not a main bridge, but armies have ways of crossing rivers. They are able to construct bridges if need be.
That's true.
Just worry.
It may slow them down for a day or so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Normally, you know, you cut off a supply line and an army's pretty fucked. That's not really the case here. They can camp out basically as long as we can camp in.
FYI, one of these representations is about 10,000 elves. So there's
We try and
probably
get Sion to sneak in and assassinate the Hexweave owner.
so yeah, like one hexweave can sustain an army of about 10,000.
Yeah.
I assume that X-Weave's going to be heavily guarded.
Most likely.
Probably not easy to just slip in and nick. Did we ever actually get a look at the Hexweave in Rodrana?
Briefly.
I mean, I know I didn't, but...
I think briefly.
So what do they actually physically look like? Are they big? Are they cumbersome?
I'm trying to remember if the Kaiodar did ever show you. I think it sort of looks like a bit.
Sion, didn't she, privately?
Yeah, I think it sort of looks a bit like a trinket, like a sort of like a marble, like a blood red marble or something that is like on a big chain. You sort of hold it in your hands and you just sort of hover it over some stuff, and you can sort of transmogrify it into food or whatever.
Right. So a single person can just carry it. Fine.
What does it make again? It's like water, milk, wheat, and blood. Is that right?
Water, milk, wheat, and blood. Yeah. It's not really wheat. It's like a very filling kind of elf flour.
It's ground up something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, it sounds like we have a couple of options, though. I think it is worthwhile going. If we want to help, then we might as well try and be as useful as we can, right? I think reasonably within our power, we can either take a boat up to Essos halfway, or we go over to the bridge, burn it down, slow them down a couple of days in some capacity, and then head up to Essos along the river, and then a similar amount of time, I imagine, in the slightly more horrible areas.
I think if we go to Essos, we need to get there ASAP. And if if we're going off and doing someone else, I mean, someone else should probably do that, right? Just because we don't do it doesn't mean it's not going to get done.
Could we borrow Curex? Or 2? Or 3?
For the journey to Essus.
Mm-hmm.
They are creatures we really are short of as it is.
Okay.
Especially if we are to keep track on the movements of the Ignis Army scouts.
How many you got?
We probably have about 25.
Ooh.
Are there other surely there are other strategists here. What are their views? What do they think would be the most useful thing a small group of 5 with kind of a reasonable amount of talent could achieve?
The issue is, Rhiannon says, a lot of the elves do not trust you. They will be hesitant to give you anything important until you prove yourselves.
Which means we might also have a bit of an issue getting, if it's us, getting Essus. I mean, we've got an arrow with us, so she'll probably be able to convince them. But I just worry if we're the best group for it.
I think what you'd probably insinuate from her tone is that she is like, choose something brave and be successful, and they'll probably trust you. Like, the ball's in your court. If you want to be helpful, find something to be helpful with.
Mm.
She looks out of the window and says, "You know, you wouldn't think we were at war. Just you can't see any burning or any murdering right now. It's what war is mostly. You look out of the window and there's nothing going on at all."
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't last long if it was just raging all the time.
No, but at least we'd have answers, and it would all seem over.
Yeah. Right. What do you lot? You lot seem to be pretty well. I mean, an area. You seem very inclined to go arson on that bridge.
I just think it'll be helpful.
It would be a good way to make a name. Even if it is not helpful, it is something that would turn heads. I say we do that and then head up to Essus after. Get help, come back with 10,000 more elves.
Suppose it might cut off their retreat.
Maybe if you were to wait for the army to cross and head further down the road to Nerion, maybe even start up the siege. Then cut the bridge. Or alternatively, you could head to Essus first, and as the army comes in from the north and cuts them off, then you could cut the bridge and cut off their retreat.
Yeah, I mean, we can move far. We can move faster than the army, right?
Yes.
If we get that army head down, come back down, get the bridge, then by the time the army from Essus arrives, their route of escape's gone. Plus, that means they can't, get reinforcements from Anuna. They might be able to get some from, kind of pointing on the map, just like, might be able to get some from this lot over here. But there'll be a slow trickle through Erisdan, right?
Oh, they couldn't.
They won't be much good.
Yeah, they wouldn't want to be passing their army through Erisdan.
Yeah. And if they do, then, well, I mean, that's probably good for us, right? Making bad decisions like that.
Yes, our analysts suggest that these two armies are heading for Elanrian, whilst this army is heading to cut off the army at Tharloon.
Right.
I presume they are trying to cut off any support to the south, I assume they may have a navy heading towards Kelris.
Have you sent anyone to Kelrius?
We
I
have
don't
sent
know what
some.
your,
We have sent some boats, but again, that was only last night.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not. I'm just checking if things are. You know, the wheels are set in motion. Not expecting stuff to be done overnight. You know, it's weird. I think back in. I heard over in Orfade they can just. You know. Click their fingers and send messages over big distance. That'd be pretty nice right about now.
Only the priests can do that, and they do not do that very easily. Well. I am itching for a fight, so I'm willing these Ignis soldiers to come try it.
Imagine you'll get your wish very soon.
Take what you need from the armory, if there is anything. I'm not sure that anything will be an upgrade for you necessarily, but if there is anything you need, feel free. But understand that the elves are going to find it tricky to consider you an ally until you have proved yourself.
Fair enough.
Well, anyway, I must go. Carry on with preparations. Best of luck, all of you.
You too.
So she goes off, takes a bunch of soldiers with her and starts telling them things to do. You're sort of just standing around now in the courtyard. Yeah. What's the plan?
Right.
What's the first things that you're getting together and doing? Or...
So,
Tom.
so let me just get things straight. So, we want to get a boat. Go over to that shore.
Mm-hmm.
Then walk rest of the way. Don't know if we can get horses on a boat. Might need a big boat for that. Not sure if they can spare it. Get a boat, moor up, head over to Essos. Hopefully, an arrow over here can do her thing. Get them to give us an hand. Head back. Blow up a bridge. Kind of look to Henning. Feel like you're probably our expert on that, right? Bombs and such.
I'm sure I can craft up something.
I got fireball.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
spell slots.
I mean, I could pretty much do this for free, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine we're obviously it's not going to be the main force, but we might run into some scats. They're all about. Then, well, I suppose you would probably think about it now. What do we actually do once the bridge is sorted out? Meet up with the SS army?
Correct. If there is no SS army, then I suggest we go back, try to remove the bridge, and then maybe think of a different idea.
Yeah. Suppose we go find our little ship again. Head back. Later that happens, the more risk we do have of running into the Ignis fleet. But I mean, no matter what we do, we got some risk, right?
Indeed. We should check out the armory, though. It is not a bad offer.
Yeah, I expect it's mostly just your standard stuff, right?
I like arrows.
No plus one
regular
striking weapons.
No, they're just.
That'd be
all
a fancy armory.
Yeah, they're mostly standard, I'm afraid.
Hmm.
You do find a couple of health potions though. If you needed them.
Yeah.
Just standard, like sort of moderate.
Not bad.
Alright, who's going to hang on to them?
Can we
If
flip them?
I suppose.
could Henning have one to try and dismantle it later so we can have the formula?
Makes sense.
Good choice.
And then I guess someone else who doesn't have any form of self healing. So I imagine that's either Cascus or Cyan. As
Yeah, I
Cyan's
mean-
being quiet, I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
Cascus.
Yeah, give us a guess.
Just a regular one, yeah?
Moderate.
Moderate.
Moderate, sorry.
Okay, cool. The city itself seems to have a bit of a tension coming over it. A lot of the soldiers that you see are people who probably don't want to be necessarily, like, potentially about to die. A lot of them are younger elves or more middle-aged elves, or they might have been blacksmiths, or they might have been, a lot of them train their whole lives so that they are useful in the army when they're needed, and they have been drafted. But however, most of them would rather be doing other things right now, and the tension in the city is quite spooky, really. There doesn't seem to be that much laughter or joy going through the city's streets at the moment. However, you having been to the armory and sort of had a bit of a look around, if there's any basic stuff that you need, you can probably find it there. But and there's not like loads and loads of like health potions. There's just
Yeah.
a few.
Sounds like we probably won't get anything there then.
Yeah, just I guess stock up on rations while we're here.
Okay, cool. So you're gonna spend the night here?
Yeah, I think so.
But
Yeah.
how far into the day are we at the moment?
So because of the extra time that you spent traveling, it's getting quite late now. It's getting to evening.
Suppose if we inquire about a boat, then that might be
Ready
it might
for
be
tour.
it might be a little while before that's actually been arranged. So we could get a
Once
night's
I
sleep in
carry it.
before we head off.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just see what exploration activities there are. Is
Like
there like a? I'm just trying to. Yeah, I'm just having a look. Sorry. Just bear with me.
if there is some time like before we would reasonably go to bed, then I'll probably just go lend a hand with the forges.
Okay. Most of them seem to be quite. I mean, if you want to spend your night doing that, you won't get any rest.
I was thinking more just like a couple of hours before bed.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Just
Yeah,
if there's some spare time.
they're mostly sorted, but they appreciate the help.
Probably better than the average blacksmith. So
The average elven blacksmith.
I mean, does the average elven blacksmith have plus 13 in crafting and plus 14 when it comes to blacksmithing?
You'll
I
have
don't
to
know.
ask. You'll have to ask.
That would be a very odd question to ask. Excuse me, do you have a plus 14 bonus to your crafting checks? Like, what the fuck are you on about, mate? Go away.
Okay,
Fucking
so yeah, so you so who's gonna go find someone to deal with the boat?
I will.
Okay, do a gather information for me then.
What's that?
So that's gonna be make a society check.
28.
28. So a couple of hours. You managed to talk to a sort of merchant, well, an elven sort of sea captain, who after sort of speaking with him for a little bit, he says, I could do a mission like that.
Great.
I can have the boat ready for tomorrow.
Okay.
It'll cost you.
How much will it cost?
Do it for 20 gold.
Can you get the price any lower, seeing as we're doing this for a Nerion?
Yes, and I'm doing it in potentially in risk of my life.
Do you have family?
Not in this city.
Oh. Where's your family?
None of your business, lady. Make it a diplomacy check.
17.
None of your business, lady. Hey, I have a boat. You got money. You want to do a special mission? That's my price.
Okay, fine. Meet us back here in the morning.
Very well. The boat will be ready. Right, okay, so anything else anyone wants to do during the night?
Might have a cheeky look at the shard again. It's been a while. It's been a while.
No, that's alright. Have you got somewhere to stay tonight, all of you?
Nope.
Question.
We need to find somewhere to stay. We might just have to camp, seeing as there's lots of refugees. I can't imagine there'll be anywhere to stay.
Yeah, and a lot of the places that have also been taken up by just soldiers sleeping, or like people who have come into the city and let in through the gates. You do begin to notice as it's getting darker, a larger and larger group of refugees has like camped outside the gates. To the point where like you can I mean it's almost the same size as the population of this city now. It's sort of beginning to crowd outside the gates. However, you do notice that they are starting to let people slowly through, but they're being quite careful about like making sure to check people when they come in, and like check for weapons and check for anything potentially to sabotage. But you do notice some guards talking about, I can't believe they're letting them in the city. We're not going to be able to survive a siege if we're full.
Oh, poor refugees.
That being said, right, so there is the only space that you could probably find. You could either pay for a room at a very expensive inn that refugees mostly can't afford, and that has also increased its prices because of the demand. Or you can try and find some space in the palace, but you'll be around a lot of guards.
Can we just
Can we-
find? Can we just like find an open space somewhere to throw the cozy cabin up?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
All right, in that case, Henning, where are you gonna?
I was just gonna go find like a quiet bit of the city.
Alright,
Just a quieter bit where there's no
Okay.
one around.
So you begin to look through the shard, like you just find, I don't know, a side alley. So we can sit down in. You begin to look through it, and you begin to watch into the other side of the gloom. In this city, it's interesting. Like it seems to be like a very cliffy sort of top of a cliff in this area in the gloom. And as you look around, the cliffs themselves seem to have this almost sparkling texture to them that you can see through the oh, what was that? Oh, okay. Sorry, man. So having a look through the crystal, the cliffs themselves seem to be sparkling and all sorts. And as you focus in on it, it begins to cloud up and fog up, and you think it's sort of going quite strange. And then it seems to suck your brain of kind of your consciousness into it. Like you almost feel like your vision and perception is being dragged into it, and you're almost going through it slightly. And you open your eyes a little bit, and you realize that you're stood maybe on a mountaintop. What seems to be maybe not in the gloom. It seems to be maybe just at the top of a mountain in Adana, perhaps. You're looking down at what seems to be a palace of some sort, hidden deep within the mountains. This ancient building made of marble, maybe sort of like marble and granite combination. It's like black and white. You see a group of people entering the entrance of this palace. You recognize a few of them. I mean, you recognize, it seems to be Vance as part of the group. And you look down, and maybe you're part of it as well? Then you notice that the door of the palace closes behind the group that goes in there. And then after about 20, 30 seconds, there's this bang and this loud crack. And you watch as the entire palace itself is just completely demolished. And you realize that this part of the mountains it's in seems to be maybe a big basin. And the entire floor of the basin falls through to reveal this absolutely huge volcano, bubbling lava. The entire palace is swallowed up by it. The lava begins to spread and sort of bubble and burst. As you watch like a giant hand begin to poke through the lava itself, the lava inside the volcano, crushing the palace inside its hand and just smashing it down. Like a large tsunami of lava just like spills out of part of the side of the basin and just like comes crashing down on the other side of the mountain. An absolute titan kind of creature, destroying this mountain. And then suddenly you're back in the alley. You feel like that was a strange experience.
Well, we should probably refrain from looking into that again too soon. It's all getting a little too real.
Make me a will saving throw.
Yeah.
Okay, all good.
Yeah.
You feel like you managed to hold off its influence to the worst it would have been.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll head back to the rest of the group there. So.
Cool. Right. So what's the rest of you doing? Spending the
Finding a
night?
good place to pop up my cozy cabin.
Yeah, that's cool. You find like a space between a couple of houses, and it pops up. Good little spot. A couple of elves like stand and watch you do it, and they're whispering amongst themselves as you put it up. But you don't quite make out what they say. All right, next day. So this is the day that you plan to leave, right?
Mm-hmm.
74th. Heading to the docks in the morning, you speak to the old captain that you met. He's a fairly old elf. He seems to just not give a shit. He's at that stage of his life. The boat is very sleek, and it has a small crew. There's only like five people in the crew, but it seems to be a quite small boat with these triangular purple sails. Who knows how fast it can go? It seems like it could go quite quickly, and it's got mostly oars when you're not using the sails. He says, "For my guess, shouldn't take too long to get. It should take maybe about the best part of a day."
Does it look big enough to fit horses?
You wouldn't be able to fit horses for all of you.
Okay.
Yeah. There's barely enough space for the five of you. You could probably fit one or two horses on if you really had to.
And there's five of us. Can do two on a horse. Then I've got Hank. Potentially might help.
Oh, we'd have to
Hank's not.
buy the horses.
Also, Hank's not as fast as a horse, is he? Especially if he's got his hammer on.
It's the scorched flats. Just means that there's another mouth to feed.
Oh yeah, can we have bought rations and stuff?
Yeah. How much are rations? For...
I think it's
Silver,
4
is it?
silver for a set of 7.
Yeah, that's right. So you're getting a week's worth of rations?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Right. So, is there? Yeah, I mean, what? Is there anything you wanted to do before you left?
Say goodbye to the Lord.
Okay. Are you going on your own, or are you going with her, with the group?
I'll go by myself.
Okay. So, just as the last parts of the boat are getting set,
Before I go,
there you go.
can I just confirm what we're actually doing?
Well, it's your. I assume you knew that.
Is that is that in character or out of character?
Out of character.
And it's like, I don't know what's going on.
So sailing to over here,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Going-
yeah, I got that.
going to Essis, requisitioning an army, coming back, blowing up the bridge, joining back up with the army. Hopefully
Kill bad guys.
they fuck up the Ignis army, free Nerion, be heroes, get showered in everything.
Okay, good. That is what I thought we were doing, but just wanted to check.
Cool. Same page.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the plan, I guess.
Mm.
All right. So you go to the palace then, Hanera, and you notice that High Lord Errol Kian, he is looking a bit tired, I guess. Just sort of loads of people are asking him questions. What should we do with these people? What should we do with this? Where should these supplies be kept? And it's like, oh, just sort it out. He's in some really nice set of armor at the moment, and he's got a couple of guards next to him, who both seem to be shade wielders. He also seems to not be carrying a sword as well, so potentially he might be a shade wielder. And he's talking with a whole bunch of his captains. As you approach, he turns to you and says, "Oh, Hanura, welcome back. Have you
Oh, my lord.
Have you decided what it is you wish to do then?"
We are heading to Essos.
Fantastic. Yes, I did hear about this. If you could requisition their aid, that would be a great help.
Do you have a seal or anything that we could bring with us to assist us with convincing them to lend their army?
Aye, yes. Take this, my ring. And he takes his house sigil ring off. It seems to be like a two-headed snake, with both heads kind of facing each other. On just a sort of like what seems to be maybe a platinum ring. Seems to be valuable. I will want that back. He says.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Hopefully see you soon.
Right. Yes. Best of luck. Hope it goes well. Okay. So you let him know. Is there anything else Jarl wanted to do?
I mean, do we get the sense that there's lots of refugees coming in? What's the carrying capacity like? Is there any reflections on that?
So the main sort of like street into the city, there's like a constant flow of people coming in through the main gates. There are like a bunch of boats that people who can afford to leave are bidding at the docks to leave the city. But there aren't that many boats, and there aren't enough boats for everyone who wants to leave. So there's a bit of a panic at the docks a little bit. The refugee situation at the gates, it's such a trickle and such a slow pace that the amount of people outside the main gate is getting larger and larger, even though more and more people are getting inside the city. So it's getting a bit crowded.
Okay, well, and is there a reasonable way we could get out?
Yeah, I mean you've got a link at the docks, so you can just leave.
Oh, fine, yeah, of course. Sorry, I'm sorry, I was
No, that's cool.
sorting out.
Oh yeah, I need to take off. It's 4 gold each.
4 gold each.
For provisions, I assume.
Whew, okay.
No, for the boat.
Oh, cool, fine, thank you.
How much was it, sorry?
4
gold
gold.
each.
Oh, you think I made him?
I did try and convince him.
Not enough. could have used violence.
You should have just stole his boat.
Commandeer his vessel. I'm an Eritrea.
You know, you think you being a this like big old, not big old, fancy lady from big house, you'd have a bit more gold on you.
Yes, you'd think that. But unfortunately, I spent all of my gold I left with on the boat to get to Port Edron.
Sorry, you left the money on. Sorry, yeah,
No,
You
I
left-
paid for the boat to get to Port Edron, and it was really expensive.
no,
It's
you,
really
you
far.
got robbed.
Well, it was a nice boat, and I was sort of expecting to make more money.
Out.
Right. Anyway.
Okay, so the captain begins to shout at you all. Are you gonna get on or not?
Yeah, come in.
Okay, cool. He begins to tie off the rope, well, untie the ropes, and orders his crew to start the process of taking you out into the harbour. And the weather's quite nice. The sea itself is quite quiet. And there doesn't seem to be many boats sort of in the direction that you're going. So for the first sort of half of the journey, it feels fine. Can someone roll me a d20, please?
Does someone else want to? I think I did.
Sure.
Do it.
Oh, okay.
Four.
Oh, Joanne.
Okay, so as you continue on a little bit, you get to sort of the last third of your journey, maybe only about 7 or so miles to go, and you notice there's a couple of boats off on the horizon. You can't quite make out their flag on them, and you can't quite make out whether you've been spotted or not. The captain seems a bit nervous. He says, should we drop you off here, or do you want to go a bit further?
I reckon maybe make for land ASAP.
Yeah, I agree. Please.
Very well. He begins the process of turning the ship around. He's gonna drop you off here. On this bit. Is there any further in there's a risk? I mean, you can't quite make out what that boat is in the distance. So that being said, so it's about maybe 6 o'clock, I think, during the day. So you've spent the best part of the day traveling on the boat. It's quite a calm experience. It's quite nice actually, just sort of like looking over into the water, the boat slowly gliding across the waves. But eventually you come to a quite sandy beach with there's like in the distance there's a few cliffs, but here is a quite easy landing. Yeah, you manage to get off the boat and up onto the main beach. There's a sort of like large sort of wiry grassland, kind of sandy grass poking out over various sort of dunes. But as you sort of get onto the beach itself proper and begin to look at the terrain that you'll be crossing, you begin to notice the actual terrain of the scorched flats is hot. It's sort of like a desert here. The occasional green sort of tuft of grass or like a cactus or something, but most of the time around here it's warm, it's hot. There doesn't seem to be that much. And in the distance, as you go more and more inland, it seems to get drier and drier and more sort of rocky.
What does the coastline look like? Is it?
The coastline is mostly sandy or cliffs, or like rocky cliffs. You can follow. I mean, you can follow the coast, or you can go inland. It's your choice.
Following the coast looks fairly reasonable, though, right?
Yeah, I reckon we should follow the coast.
I mean,
Are you bringing the horses with you?
Oh, we didn't get horses.
No, you didn't get horses.
I suggest we stay nearish to the coastline. I will. I probably would get lost if I go too far in.
No one have a. Did none of us bring a compass?
Let me get my backpack.
Oh wait, hold on.
No.
Might be able to using his what's it called?
Prescient planner?
Prescient consumable slash planner. Is compass a piece of adventuring gear? I feel like it probably should be.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Or
it is.
other
It's-
sources of adventuring gear.
Compass is a 1 gold piece item.
Okay, it must be common with no sure.
You probably only get it in. I'm not sure if you get it in kits or not. I think you might have just have to buy it.
Well, while you folks were all doing your stuff with the ship, Cascus went to buy one. And he can spend 1 minute sitting around looking for his backpack, and magically appears a compass. Woohoo!
That's lucky.
Wow.
Oh,
Amazing, Cascus.
Yeah,
Such
good-
foresight.
yeah, good job you thought of it.
These are no worries. I've been in these situations many times before. The deserts of Company are nothing compared to this, I'm sure.
Right, well, I mean, with that, we should be able to just head north, right?
Yeah, give me a sense direction check. So you need to make a survival check.
Can I aid?
You can aid.
Okay, so it says it's +0 here, but because hold on.
Yeah, I
let me
think
double
it's
check
not.
the-
It's usually -2 if you don't have a compass.
Yeah.
Let me hold on. I get a bonus here because it's like
I'm gonna use my ancestral memories to be trained.
Okay.
okay. My proficiency bonus equal to your level instead of 0, so I get a +7 to that roll. So 14.
And what did you get, Hanira?
17.
That's a fail. Right, well, unfortunately, you are having a bit of trouble determining the direction. However, I mean, you're following the coast, right?
Yeah.
You can work out which way is north. But it's gonna it does take you a little while because obviously you're following just the coast.
Mhm.
So after a day, after about 4 hours extra of traveling, and it begins to get dark, you get to about here. The area is interesting. Like you found your way into sort of kind of rocky ravine, like for shelter. There is like a bunch of cliffs along the side of this sandy sort of rocky area. And you notice these large like mounds of sand all around you. Like something has made these mounds. Perhaps something that's moved on, hopefully.
Yep.
But you can't quite notice anything at the moment, and it's getting dark. Like it might be a good shelter here.
Can we go a little bit closer to the sea, maybe, or?
Yeah, you can go right up to the sea if you want.
I just,
This part is a bit cliffy, but
I just worry that we might actually be sleeping on a big body or something, you know.
well, it depends if you want a camp that's more sheltered. That's probably the best place for it. But otherwise, if you want to just be on the coast, you can be. Boats may be able to potentially see you. That's the only downside.
Okay, I mean maybe where we were is fine.
If we don't light a fire and it's nighttime, they won't be able to see us near the coast.
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's your choice.
Can you
All right. In that case, let's finish there then, shall we? And we'll come back next session.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks for playing.
Thanks for things always.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
See you next week. scorched puddings.